Welcome to the Moonlight Magic channel. This is Citrina, and today I am talking about my journey to tarot. It's all about how I got into tarot. So I'll just get right into it. I'm driving, guys, in traffic, so what better way to pass the time in traffic than to make a video, right? So my first tarot reading, I was in Sedona, and I was just so amazed at Sedona. It's so beautiful there. I was like, oh, I'm driving around and all I see is crystal shops, psychic shops all over the place. So I pull into one place and I go in and, you know, I sit down and I get a reading. So I had never really been exposed to tarot. You know, you would see the lady with the crystal ball on some movies. That's as far as I knew about tarot. Now, this is in like 2011. So I sit down with the reader in Sedona. She gives me a reading. You know, everything is great or whatever. So after the reading, I'm just browsing around her shop. And she comes up to me and she starts telling me some other things about myself. And I'm like, wow, this lady really is psychic. So, okay, that was my first reading in Sedona. Now, I just happened to be in San Antonio. I spent a lot of time in San Antonio, Texas. And one of my favorite things to do is to browse around metaphysical shops in different cities. Sometimes I do have moments or times in my life where I travel a lot. So I was in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm in this shop, you know, just checking out the crystals, the different books, things like that. So at most metaphysical shops, they do have psychic readers there. So I'm just browsing around and, you know, I see some people come in to sign up for a reading. And I'm like, I wonder if I should get a reading. That's one thing you might know, is that a lot of psychics like to get readings themselves. So, because it is interesting to see different techniques and different vibes. So anyway, I'm browsing around the shop and I'm thinking about getting a reading. So I haven't signed up yet. I'm still looking at the crystals, the books. So I go up to the counter and I'm talking with the lady behind the counter. And up walks this lady, because there was like another man at the counter. I don't know what he was doing, but he was just standing up there at the counter. And this lady walks up and she starts talking to the man. And I'm talking to the lady behind the counter. So it's three of us on the customer side of the counter, and it's one lady behind the counter who works there. So I'm talking to the lady behind the counter, and to the left side of me is a man who was waiting at the counter, and then another lady, an older lady, who walks up and she's talking to him. So they talk or whatever. I don't even know what they're talking about because I'm in my own conversation. So I guess the lady next to me, she finished talking to the man and she turned around to talk to the lady behind the counter, but she was like kind of pausing because I was talking to the lady behind the counter. And so I turned around and I looked at her, and as soon as I looked at her, I knew she was psychic. Something in me, it's like a download in me contacted a download in her, and I mean, I just knew she was psychic. I was like, wow. And so, come to find out, she was a reader. Now, before I even knew she was a reader, I knew she was psychic. Just because of the vibe we had. I mean, a lot of psychics are like that. You know, we can spot each other lots of times. So, anyway, I found out she was a reader because she was trying to get the lady's attention behind the counter that she was going in for a reading. So right then and there, I was like, I have to get a reading with her. So I scheduled my reading with her. I waited because, you know, she was in a reading already. So I waited for my turn with her. So, you know, when she finished her other reading and took her break or whatever, I went in and sat down with my reading with her. So we are reading, you know, she's looking at the cards, telling me whatever. And a lot of times when I get readings, I don't even pay attention too much to what they're telling me. At this time, this was before I started doing readings. My thing was that I knew I had a gift, like an intuitive gift, but I was more interested in her techniques. How did she handle her psychic ability? Things like that. So we're in the reading, and, you know, the reading is like up. It's pretty much over. But we're still talking. And I noticed that a lot of what she told me, like after the reading, she didn't even look at the cards. You know, she would close her eyes and look to the side, and it's like she was getting a download. And I just need to tell you that, you know, a lot of the things she told me did come to pass. So, you know, and that just amazed me. I'm like, wow, she really is a psychic. Like, she really does know. And right then and there, I was like, okay, I want to get a reading with her. Now, I wanted to get a reading with her, not to really learn tarot, but I wanted to find out her techniques, her intuitive techniques. How did she get the downloads? When did she get the downloads? Could she control them? Could she call them, you know, at will? Things like that. So that was my intention behind getting a reading with her. And so, you know, I took the class with her and everything, you know, got deeper into tarot, learned the meanings and the symbolisms on the tarot cards and things like that. And so I would ask her periodically, why does she use the tarot cards? Because clearly I knew that she doesn't even need the tarot cards. And she told me, she said, I would never do a reading without the cards. And I'm like, why? You are clearly psychic. And, you know, she explained to me that most tarot readers are psychic, but sometimes we need guidance, because being psychic doesn't mean all of the time that you have control over your downloads or the information that you receive. So the tarot cards help intuitive readers kind of focus in on the messages that they are receiving. So that's one reason why most psychic or intuitive or, you know, empath, you know, whatever the person is calling themselves, that is the reason why they use tarot cards, or we use tarot cards. Because sometimes we get so many downloads, you know, and a lot of times it doesn't even make sense to us. I know one time I was doing a reading for someone, and the person's hands really stood out to me on the cards. I forgot what card it was. I think it was like I forgot. Anyway. And it really stood out to me on the cards. And sometimes as a reader, you feel like, if I say this person is going to think I am crazy. But I said it. I'm like, well, I say this is probably, you know, a message from the guides that wants to get to her, to let her know that, hey, you know, this really is an intuitive reading. And so I mentioned what I was seeing, and the lady was like, oh my goodness, how could you know that? You know, that's when you know you're on the right track. When you hit something and the person is like, oh my goodness, how did you know that? So anyway, that is my journey to tarot. That's how I got into tarot, because I wanted to find out more information about how intuitive readers control their gift. And I'm so glad I did get into it. You know, I really love doing readings. And if you would like a reading with me, visit metaphysicalmoonlighters.com and I would be happy to give you a reading. And again, this has been Citrina. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel. I greatly appreciate it. Until next time, tap into your potential.